So you're saying more black people get abortions?
Yes. So I looked it up.
Why is that, white lady? White lady, why do more black people get abortions? Because abortions are based on what? Lack of access to resources. Because abortions disproportionately happen to impoverished people. Why are black people more impoverished than white people? Because of white supremacy. So thank you for pointing out that people that have been forced into poverty through systemic racism of the last 200 years are forced to abort their baby more because of the lack of resources to be able to raise a baby. And then you, as a white lady, use that as your talking point to take the health care away from those same women that are suffering in those same impoverished neighborhoods because you don't want to acknowledge the white supremacy behind it all.
This might be a hot take, but a lot of white people are not happy. There are 3 reasons for this. The first is that there is just a general idea of just hyper-individualism and hoarding of resources. A lot of them are extremely stingy, don't tip well, and also don't donate to local charities. They're very isolated, and what few friends they have, their connection is built upon shared bigotry, which is obviously not a strong connection. Number 2, a lot of white people feel a sense of emptiness. They have the job, the car, the career, the kids, the Bible, but they don't feel that sense of fulfillment.
Men are the mental health problem in this country. Jim Crow, white men. Slavery, white men. Segregation, white men. Concentration camps for Asian Americans in the late 30s and early 40s. 1,800 people died. How many black people were hung from trees? 8,000. Let me guess. Oh yeah, once again, white men. The gun violence? 98% are men. 84% are white men, U.S. citizens. I see a trend. How about the Middle Passage where 1.2 African Americans died? Oh yeah, once again, white men. Why was the Second Amendment written? Let me think. Oh, so black people couldn't have their freedoms. So the white men could once again control them. Who's in the White House? An adjudicated rapist, convicted felon white man. Wow, I see a trend. But somehow Americans are just begging to blame a trans person, a non-white person. See, what happened to George Floyd is symbolic of what's happening in this country. The white man putting his knee on the neck of a non-white person and sitting there in broad daylight with the balls to say, who's going to stop me? And that's what we're seeing right now. So that's the question that we need to ask ourselves as a fucking country. Who's going to stop them? Because I'm just one person here. Now, I don't know about you, but I got friends and family that are sitting behind the white privilege, and I want nothing to do with them. Not because of who they are, because their lack of action. Martin Luther King said, history is going to remember not the people that did bad things, but the good people that stood by and did nothing. Because once again, the white man is hiding behind their privilege while everybody else is getting treated like absolute fucking garbage. Because it doesn't affect me. You don't even want to go on a general strike to stop fascism. Oh, I can't work. Oh, I got a job. White man is the mental health crisis in the United States of America. It has been since day one.
Shy guys, my name is Kelvin and you're welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about something that feels like a long overdue awakening. The title of this video is White Americans Finally Waking Up After Years of Blaming Black People for Mistakes They Didn't Make. For decades, the narrative has been pushed that black communities are responsible for their own struggles. Poverty, crime, family breakdown, abortion rates, you name it, and fingers were pointed at us. But now, more and more voices, even some white voices, are starting to tell a different story. A truth that has been buried under layers of denial, deflection, and comfortable lies. This video is a powerful montage of clips showing exactly that shift. Speakers breaking down how white supremacy, systemic racism, patriarchy, and capitalism have shaped the conditions we see today. It's not about individual bad actors, it's about structures built by white men, and yes, white women, that continue to echo through generations. I have to say, watching this felt like an ethnic studies course. I never got in school so much truth-telling from white people themselves. It was refreshing, it was honest, and it was long overdue. Let me tell you something right now. If you're a white American watching this and feeling uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the beginning of accountability. For too long, the default has been to blame black people for problems created by centuries of oppression, slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, mass incarceration. The knee on the neck of George Floyd wasn't just one culp. It was a symbol of a system that has been pressing down on non-white bodies for hundreds of years. And yes, we're going to talk about white women too. Grab the book, They Were Her Property, by Stephanie Jones Rogers. That book is an eye-opener. It details the active evil role of white women during and after slavery, not as passive bystanders, but as owners, managers, and beneficiaries of the system. They weren't just along for the ride. They profited. They enforced. They built wealth on the backs of enslaved black women and men. That history didn't just disappear in 1865. It shaped everything that came after. This isn't about shame for shame's sake. This is about truth, and the truth is liberating for everyone. Now, let's dive deeper into what these clips are revealing.
Whiteness before this app goes kaput, specific to white people in America, which is kind of me. There are these conversations we have about imposter syndrome, you know, like, I have imposter syndrome, I have imposter syndrome. And for a white person, the reason that you and I have imposter syndrome is because we are imposters. To be born white in America is to be born a settler. Even if we don't own land, the cultural implications of colonization and the power structure means that we have a settler psyche. That's how our brain works. That's how we think. That's how we go. In the entirety of the sense of self, in whiteness, for white people, is a fabrication. It is a lie. It is pretenders. We are imposters. That's why we have imposter syndrome, because we are imposters. Why do you think white people, especially white men, me, why do you think we're so fragile? Why do you think we can't handle conflict? Why do you think we run away all the time? Why do you think It's because we have a fragile sense of self, a fragile ego, and we're fragile because we are trying to keep up this charade of being superior, which is a fucking lie. The irony of a superiority complex is a deep sense of misery and fragility that makes life not enjoyable because we are actually living counter to what is true to humanity, which is that we are all the same fucking species, meaning we are all equal, we are all worthy and valuable to the same fucking degree. But because we have so distorted that, because of our ancestors have so distorted that, maybe I should point down, they're certainly not going there. Because of that distortion, we are born in this psychological framework where we have this really fragile sense of self and we're just trying to keep up with the Jones, keep up the fucking charade, and we don't do the fucking work internally to actually figure out how to root and ground ourselves in some sort of values, to respect the humanity of others, to respect the humanity of ourselves. And so we just pretend, and then we feel terrible. I'm an imposter. They're gonna find out that I'm a fraud. Well, you're a fucking fraud, and so am I. Because we're fucking white Americans. Now, this is a little bit different for men and women. There is an imposter syndrome that exists under patriarchy for women that I'll never understand. And so I'm just speaking to the white portion of this. But if you are white, even if you're a woman, it's a little bit different, obviously. But like white people in general, we are fucking imposters, man. And we gotta confront that and look at it dead in the mirror. Because do we want to be fragile forever? Do we just want to like not be able to deal and handle conflict forever? Do we want to do this bullshit right to comfort forever? And I'm looking myself in the mirror right now. This is what I realized this whole last year. I am a fraud. I am a fake. I am a pretender. That's who I have been. That's not who I need to continue to be. There's a better world. There's a better life. There's better relationships. But the longer we run away from this shit, the longer we fucking hide, where are we gonna get? We're never gonna be good community members. We're never gonna be able to practice actual revolutionary values. We're just gonna keep in the same fucking bullshit, distant, non-intimate, fake, imposter shit. We have imposter syndrome because we are imposters.
America chose, and it chose white supremacy, fascism, and authoritarian rule. It chose the subjugation of women, gays, immigrants, in service of white supremacy, and in service of one man, really, because we've decided with this election to put one man outside the bounds of the rule of law. And it's going to be way worse this time, because you just rewarded a criminal con man grifter whose back was against the ropes and who's seen no repercussions for any of his criminal acts or acts of revenge against his perceived enemies. You've given him carte blanche to do whatever he wants.
White people, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our violence, white violence. No more deflecting, no more blaming everything on everybody else. Let's confront ourselves. White people in America, our history is so extremely violent. And instead of confronting that, we continue to blame other people for the issues and the problems in this country, instead of just taking ownership of our part to play in everything, which is a huge part. Can we stop scapegoating other groups of people, please, and just look at ourselves?
So I see, once again, we've had it put into our face that white folks, we are the problem. We're the problem. We're the problem. Our refusal to honestly deal with our history of hatred, racism, genocide is a problem. Our inability to see where the unhealthiness of our culture is the problem. Our inability to see how racism and Christianity all tied up in together is a problem, is the problem. And the biggest problem is that we do not see we are the problem. God bless.
Racism devastates people from the global majority the most. Obviously, let's be really clear about that. But whiteness carries a cost for white people too. And I wish white people could get that into their heads. It shows up in how isolated we often are. In regions like the Northeast and Wales, over 90% of people are white British, and a third of white Britons say they have no friends from a global majority background. I mean, think about what that means. We are cut off from whole worlds of perspective, from different ways of thinking, problem solving, creativity, ideas, joy, humor, you name it. Instead of gaining resilience through difference, we stay small and we stay shallow and we cling to sameness, and I guess we call that normal. Whiteness looks like power, but it's really a cage. It cuts us off from the richness of life itself. Racism dehumanizes people of color, but it also diminishes white people. And anti-racism isn't charity work, remember. It's how we open the door to fuller humanity, connection, and possibility. I mean, it would be great if we did this out of the goodness of our hearts and for the sake of justice. But if that feels like too much to ask, do it for selfish reasons. Do it because your life will be richer, deeper, funnier, and better if you do.
Can we stop, for once, at least, maybe in our nation's history, stop trying to blame white-on-white crime on black people? Can we stop it for once, at least, please? Like, we all knew when Charlie Kirk was killed. We knew who this was going to be. We knew who the suspect was going to be, a young white man. We knew it. And yet, some people tried to spin this to say it was something else. And now threats are being lobbied against black students at universities. Black HBCUs are being threatened to be blown up. I think 4 of them had to shut down yesterday and today because they had to deal with bomb threats. It was never them. It's never been the black community. We always blame anybody else but ourselves. But the call is coming from inside the house. We are the problem. White on white crime, we are the problem. We have always been the problem. So let's, for once, stop trying to blame somebody else and look inward and try to address the actual problems that we are the ones creating upon ourselves.
I cannot wait for the comments on this one, but white people, we're gross, and I just learned yet another reason why. So my 3-year-old son is in nursery school, right? And we got an email the other day that said that there was lice happening at the school. Gross. So I follow the links to like the CDC page on head lice, and I of course buy all the products and get the knit comb and all the things, and I'm studying the information on the CDC page when what to my wondering eyes should I come across but the little fun fact that African American communities experience less lice than white people. It just makes me think of what a nice compliment that is to the TikTok I saw the other day. Oh, I wish I could remember who created it, with the guy talking about how when the Europeans came here to the US, then, you know, Turtle Island, the indigenous people could smell them like football fields away, and they were like so repulsed that they begged them to bathe, and they taught them how to have appropriate levels of hygiene. And they say white people have no culture. It's in our blood. We're disgusting.
You don't think white women have been conned to the most by patriarchy? Explain this. 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris, and only 47% of white women did. So more than half of white women voted for a patriarchal rapist. Why? Because they were the most conned by patriarchy. Sure, patriarchy runs thick in all of us, and we all do have to deconstruct. But because of patriarchy's intersection with white supremacy, it hits different for white women. White women are told, yeah, white men might be the most powerful in society, but you can live in their houses. You can have access to the places where these men go, to the places where influence happens. You can just influence your husband to get the world that you want because your husband will be the most powerful in this society. Patriarchy says, yeah, you have to submit to men. Men will always be higher than you, but you get to be higher than everyone else. And this is how patriarchy subtly convinces white women to help them enforce white supremacy culture. It says, yeah, you can't be at the top of the ladder, but we'll give you the second rung, higher than the rest of them. Patriarchy doesn't make the same promise to black women or to Latino women. It doesn't work so hard to con them because it knows that they're likely already sufficiently oppressed by white supremacy and likely capitalism too. Patriarchy does its best to get white women to buy into the idea of hierarchy. It needs us to, because if we didn't, we alone could be the force that changed the tides. There are enough of us. So what it tries to offer us instead, in order to entice us to play the patriarchal game, is it says, but you can be not like the other women. You can be better than the other women. You can be the cool girl or the sports girl or the trophy wife. While all those other women are getting oppressed because you're the exception. That's right, you're going to be the exception. Then you will get treated better by patriarchy. Patriarchy won't forget about you and render you invisible when you're in your 40s like it does those other women. You're special. If you're just self-sacrificing enough and you prioritize your children and your husband, oh, there will be a bright future waiting for you. Don't listen to those other older women. They're just bitter because they're not special like you. You're different. Patriarchy barely plays that game with other women. That is a game designed for white women. It's why white women are so competitive with each other, because they all think they're vying for the slot of the special woman, the exception to the rule that applies to other women. Little do they know there was never any such exception. That carrot is like the bunny that the greyhound is chasing around the track. It always just seems to elude them. By the time they figure it out when they're in their 40s, and they start getting treated like they have no value, well, by then they'll just be discarded while their husband gets somebody younger who doesn't yet know this, and then that younger woman will be told, you're the exception. It won't happen to you. Just wait, you will be cherished forever. White women need to own our shit. You should be really embarrassed by this.
Go ahead, be on the wrong side of history. Listen, Shaquita. Isn't that racial profiling?
I'm not stitching this to stitch for this woman to understand anything, because there isn't a chance she's going to until she needs other women. She just won't understand it until she needs other women, because white women are the problem. White women are the problem. I am the problem. So I'm trying to be part of the solution. I'm trying to help white women understand that the reason that you're going so hard is because a man told you to go that hard, and men are getting you to do their bidding war for them and go against women. You know, I am a woman's woman through and through, have been my whole life. I have never, will never, and don't need to ever be a pick-me girl. And it's really sad that white women are the problem. But we need to be part of the solution now.
White people have done every single thing in our power to make black people feel less than, to feel worthless, to feel inferior, and you didn't. We failed. We failed in that. We enslaved you, we beat you, we bred you, we treated you worse than cattle. We did everything that we could in order to make the black person in this country feel inferior. And you are still here and you influence everything. Every single day is influenced by a black person in some way. Music is influenced by black people. Fashion is influenced. The way we speak is influenced. Every single thing that is American culture has been influenced by black American. So as a white person, if your people have spent hundreds of years telling you that these other people are worth less than you, you're going to be fucking annoyed when they don't act the way that you've been told that they should fucking act, right? That's their mentality. That is what their mentality is. They've been told their entire lives that black people are inferior. And so when you don't act that way, it enrages them. And that is it. It's jealousy. The community that black people have in every situation, Montgomery, there was a hat thrown in the air and you guys jumped into action. It was, I am so trying to be respectful. I really not trying white woman tears this. Black women have the DNA for every single human on the planet. It is in your bones. You make it. And that is magic. So it's another, it's like, I don't mean this in any disrespectful way. They're playing their role. It's just like the heteronormative way of life, right? Like you're assumed straight until you come out, because that's what everybody does. Everybody does it. And so we all play our roles that we are assigned, but black people in this country are not playing the role that was assigned to them in the mentality of white people. You guys aren't taking out our garbage. You're not taking care of our children. You're not in the fields. You know, you're educated. You are highly educated. Like, again, you are more educated. Black women are more educated today than every other class of person. And that happened in less than 50 years. It is jealousy. It is rage, and the fact that you guys are not playing the assigned role that they think that you should be playing. So I hope that this was respectful. And
there's a huge difference between being not racist and anti-racist. Growing up as a white person, I was not racist. I didn't say the N-word, but I also was terrified to participate in any sort of discussion about race. I sort of just stayed out of it, right? I was like, this isn't a problem I contribute to, but it's also not going to be a problem that I help put an end to, I guess. Then I went to college at Brown, and that's where I learned that not being racist is in its own way contributing to racism. Because if you are too scared as a white person to call out the racism of other people or to critically examine your own biases, especially your implicit ones, that is still a contributing factor to the problem. And that's why I now make the content that I do, because I'm thinking back to all of these things that I heard as a child, and I'm seeing my entire life in a new light. Like, wow, this family was quite racist, this friend was racist, all these things that the people I went to high school with that they did, sort of critically examining it, as well as my own biases. So if you are someone who continues to insist that you're not racist, you're probably contributing to the problem.
So black people are taking white jobs. China gave us the China virus. Haitians are eating pets. Puerto Rico's a floating island of garbage. What the fuck are white people besides gigantic pieces? That video was taken down after it went very viral because apparently there was a whole bunch of people who didn't like me talking shit about the white folk. But I'm here today on November 6th, the day we literally lost our democracy, to tell you that white people are the fucking problem. We've always been the problem, and we're always going to be the problem. I am not one of those fucking pick-me girls, okay? I am on all the marginalized groups' side. I will say fuck the patriarchy to anyone who will listen. This right here, this Donald Trump presidency for 2024, white. So it's, we let all of our black and brown and gay and lady friends, we let everyone down. Yep. You can only blame you, white people. And I'm trying to make this video so it doesn't come down, because you are the fucking racists in this country. Yep. I mean, you are the ones that called every marginalized group a slur. Not the other side. Have the fucking day you deserve.
The clips in this video lay it out plain. Higher abortion rates in black communities, that's not some inherent cultural flaw. That's poverty created by white supremacy. 200 plus years of stolen labor, stolen wealth, denied education, denied housing, and denied opportunity. Of course, People in survival mode make different choices. And let's be real about the statistics. I believe the abortion rate is just as high, if not higher, in white communities. The difference is access. People of color and poor folks go to public clinics that get government funding and have to report every number. White and wealthy women go to private doctors who don't have to keep those same statistics. The data is skewed by design. It hides the truth while letting the narrative blame black bodies. Look at crime. The video highlights how white men have been behind the biggest atrocities: lynchings, the Middle Passage, Japanese internment, gun violence. 84% of mass shootings? White men. The Second Amendment itself rooted in fear of black rebellion. Yet the media and politics still want to paint black neighborhoods as the problem. Enough. White hyper-individualism, the stinginess, the isolation. Relationships built on shared bigotry instead of real community. Material success, job, car, house, church, but an emptiness inside, a fabricated superiority, complex that leaves people miserable. One white speaker in the clip calls it perfectly. Whiteness is a lie, an imposter identity, settler mentality from birth. It breeds fragility, avoidance, and violence when challenged. And after the last election, the choice of white supremacy, fascism, and authoritarian rule. A convicted felon and adjudicated rapist in the White House shows exactly how deep this goes. Women's rights under attack, minorities further subjugated, no accountability. The deflection continues, blaming trans people, immigrants, black voters, anyone but themselves. White America, it's time to stop the charade. Stop blaming black people for conditions your ancestors created and your systems maintain. Confront the history. Confront the ongoing violence. Read the books. Listen to the voices. Drop the superiority. Embrace real equality, not the performative kind. Martin Luther, King Jair. Warned about the white moderate, the good people who do nothing. We are seeing that play out in real time, but the wake-up is happening. More white people are speaking truth. They're rejecting the lie of whiteness and choosing humanity instead. This is what accountability looks like. This is what progress looks like. Not erasing history, but finally telling it straight. Thank you for watching this important compilation and commentary. If this video made you think, if it challenged you, if it angered you, share it. Comment below. What part hit you the hardest? Have you read They Were Her Property? Let's talk about it. Subscribe for more unfiltered truth on race, history, and the real roots of America's problems. Hit the like button if you believe it's time for real accountability. Turn on notifications so you never miss when the narrative shifts. Remember, truth isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. We are all in this together, but we can't move forward until the full story is told. Stay woke, stay accountable. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.